It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Hello. I kind of queued that out a little early, but hopefully you guys are all doing well. Well, as good as I guess you can be, because I know that for us in Southern California, this shit basically hit the fan 2 weeks ago. And I know for some of you around the country, it's really just starting to get real. We've been pretty much 2.5 weeks without work. Yeah, it hurts just like everybody else. No different. I just happen to have a backlog of videos, so I'll be able to keep doing videos for a while, but eventually I'm going to run out of content. But you know, who knows? We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, it's crazy, guys. I really don't have much to say. I'm kind of sick right now. I kind of got scared last night because over the weekend I got like a sore throat, and then it progressed into like a runny nose, and I was sneezing and coughing, and then I started to get a mild fever, and about crap my pants, and then the fever went away, and then I just got intense sinus pressure. So I'm hoping it's just a sinus infection, because today I haven't taken any medicine and it went away and everything seems to be fine. But that's kind of the crazy thing too. You know, we got allergy season coming right now, and it could just be an allergy thing, you know, right in the middle of this virus, and yeah, whatever. But anyways, hopefully you guys are doing well. Got a couple things as usual I want to talk about. I know we got a lot of new viewers inside here, so real quick, just like I usually do or have been doing, my name is Chris, and I'm an HVACR service tech here in Southern California. I started making YouTube videos to help my service techs. I decided to make them public, and it led to this. I started doing these live streams to kind of answer questions. I get a bunch of questions from emails, and I'm all for it. You guys keep sending me emails, YouTube comments. I try to read every single YouTube comment. There's been a lot of people that have been posting lately, like, I don't think he's going to read this, but I read them. I read every one. I try to. You know, every once in a while one slips through the cracks, but I try. So keep sending them. You know, I try to get to them as much as possible. I'd love to be able to spend more time. Obviously, I'm not really working right now, so I got a little bit more time to do it. So, but anyways, hopefully you guys can make the best of this. Do me a favor. You know, it sucks that we're out of work right now, a lot of us. And it sucks that, you know, everything is what it is, but take this time to better yourself. You know, there's lots of free information out there, you know, besides my silly videos. Go to Brian's website, hvacrschool.com. Lots of great information. That's my buddy Brian. Another thing too, Brian and I, we're friends, but we're not the same people. I get comments all the time on my YouTube videos, people calling me Brian. And then he's told me that people say the same thing to him too. We're two different people. I have HVACR videos. He has HVACR school. Similar, but not the same. So, but we are good friends, good guy. Yeah, but anyways, so go check out his website. Lots of great training resources. So I might have the corona. If I sneeze on you guys, you know what? It could be like that. You guys ever been to Disneyland when they had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? And when someone sneezed, it like got on the camera. Although at Disneyland, they like shot water on your face. But I could do that. I could sneeze at the camera, and then you guys could think that I'm sneezing on you. Anybody else want to use my microphone? You know? All right. Yeah, as usual, guys, you guys got questions, throw them in caps lock. Keep repeating them if I don't answer them, okay? If I miss anything, hvacrvideos@gmail.com is my email address. Send me an email, okay? It's all good. I try to get to them as much as possible. So hopefully, I think I'm going to be fine. But yeah, it was scary. I crapped my pants last night, basically thinking it. Well, actually, not literally. I have crapped my pants a bunch of times, literally, but not this time. I usually take pride in the times that I've crapped my pants because that's like a cool dad moment that I can tell my kids about that. But yeah, anyways, just going off on a tangent there as I usually do. My wife doesn't find those stories very funny. On a side note, I crapped my pants on like my second date with my wife. No joke. I really did. And she didn't know. And I told her many years later and she didn't know. She totally didn't know. I thought that was the funniest thing. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. I think guys think that's funny and I think girls think it's disgusting. I think it's hilarious when you find out someone crapped their pants. It's whatever. Own it, man. All right. Ernesto. Great question. Great question. Ernesto asked me, he's HVACR vlogger. He also has a YouTube channel. Go check it out, guys. Just anybody that's in the chat, if I call him out, HVACR vlogger, if you click on his name, the 3 dots will appear, and then it says go to channel. You go to the channel, subscribe to his channel. Ernesto's up in Northern California, the Bay Area, and he does refrigeration videos and stuff. So, yeah, he asked if everybody that got sick after the AHR show possibly had the coronavirus. You know, I don't know. I didn't have any of the symptoms. I still don't have like chest pains, hard breathing or anything like that. But a lot of people did get sick after the AHR show, including people at the Sporlin booth, of which I was at for a long time too. You know, I don't know if we had corona or not. I have no idea. It's possible, you know. All right. Let's see. Let me see what I'm missing in here. See what I'm missing. Pants are overrated. Yeah. You're staying okay, right on. Social distancing. Let's see what else. Do I think Harambe? Oh no, I don't know about that. Someone said, "Tell my story." Have I ever installed ducted mini splits? No, I have not installed ducted mini splits. I've done the ductless mini splits, but not the ducted ones. No, don't do those very often. So, cheaper to buy new ones than to clean them. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, every time I've crapped my pants, you just take them off and throw them away and go put on some new ones. I think I was at a shopping mall one time, and I just went into another store, bought some pants, threw the other ones in the frickin', went home commando because I wasn't going to buy a 6-pack of underwear. But anyways, yeah, that's probably too much information right there. All right. How is $1,200 going to cover the time off? It's not, bro. The $1,200, again, let's not get political or anything, but the whole point of the stimulus, I mean, you know, whatever, whether you agree with it or not. I personally don't agree with the stimulus just because I don't like the idea of printing money. And I'm not trying to start a political debate or anything like that, but I'm not a fan of printing the money. And to be honest with you, if I could refuse it, I probably would consider refusing it just because you're going to have to pay it back. I mean, I don't care what they say. They're going to make it up in taxes one way or the other. So, I mean, I wish there was a way to say, no, I don't want it. And then that way you don't have to pay the taxes in the year. But again, we don't know how long this is going to last. So, I mean, I guess I'm just, you know, take it and put it away, save it, you know, but it ain't enough to pay everything. I mean, you know, the whole point is that, you know, I don't want to criticize anybody, but you need to plan for the worst. And in no way am I prepared for something this big. No way. I mean, I try to be prepared, but I'm not this prepared. This is nuts. Like, this is crazy where this is going. And the implications of everything, I mean, this is going to trickle through the rest of the year. It's going to be crazy. So do I have a recommended torch kit? I mean, I just use I don't really have a particular one. I use a Uniweld kit from my local RSD or Allied or whatever. Nothing fancy. I like a number 2 tip for brazing, and then I use a rosebud tip for big copper 7/8 and bigger. But I braze everything with a number 2 tip. Yeah, and that's about it on that. Let's see. I got stuff I want to talk about, of course, but I'm going to answer some questions in the chat here real quick. So let me see what I'm missing here. Can you start saying trousers and not pants, please? Your OCD is getting triggered. That's funny, Sterling. You're not the first person to say that. Someone else from over the pond or whatever in Europe was saying the same thing. They're like, stop saying trousers, stop saying pants. In the U.S., we say pants. Okay, in Mexico, they say pantalones, but here we say pants. You know, yeah. What's up, Ruben? How you doing? Rookie Refrigeration. That's another YouTube channel. There's a bunch of guys in here. Alexander's Refrigeration, A-Team Adam, HVAC North. There's a bunch of guys in here that make videos. So click on their names, check them out. Okay, Fluffy Anus. I am so intrigued by your name. It's disturbing, dude. Your name is disturbing. That's all I can say. I think that's what you're going for. But if you have a fluffy anus, there's something wrong, bro. All right. Can the copper coils crack? I lost that question. Where did that go? Can the copper coils crack when the evaporator, when it's an ice block? Yeah, actually, Adam. I mean, there's been stuff like that before with the cheap copper. I've seen the copper get crushed from ice. Yes, it can. Definitely can. Depending on an extremely iced up situation, it can definitely collapse the copper. That is for sure. What's my opinion on local 250? Is it a good option? I have... I'm going to make this clear. I make this clear every single time. I have no opinion, union or otherwise. I am a non-union small business, okay? But I have no opinion. I don't have anything bad to say about the union, okay? If union is what's good for you and your family, that's what you need to do. You need to make those decisions. I can't make it for you. You need to weigh out the benefits. Here in Southern California, the union is not super strong, but there is a certain sector that the union is working. The union, for the most part, is going to work in educational institutions, government institutions, large commercial manufacturing institutions is where the union's mainly going to work. The union's not going to work in restaurants for the most part. They're not going to work in, they might do some supermarket work depending on which places, but the union is not huge here in Southern California, but in other parts of the country, it's huge. So you need to kind of weigh that one out, see what kind of work they're doing, see what kind of training they're offering. And the biggest thing is the benefits that they offer for you and your family. So weigh those out, you know, and see what you choose to do, okay? But again, I got nothing bad to say about the union at all. So, all right, let me keep going down the list here. Am I going to put in for help with small business from the feds? Jason, I am going to apply. I was just talking with my dad today, and we are going to apply for help. Whether or not we're going to take it, we don't know yet, but we are at least going to get our application in. And then we can kind of weigh out the results. Nobody knows right now, with all the research that I've done and pretty much all day today, because I had nothing better to do, was just doing research on the financial help for small businesses. Nobody knows the rules, the details. It's a cluster F right now. Nobody understands anything. So basically, we put in an application with the SBA. Whether or not we're going to take anything, we don't know, and then we're going to put in an application with the bank and then see what they offer and see what the rules are and find out all the details. Just all I can say, again, I am not a financial expert whatsoever. So all I can say is just pay attention to the details, okay? There's a lot of details in there. Read the fine print. I know I'm going to be reading it like crazy, researching what I can about it, finding out what happens. I know that one of the details for the Paycheck Protection Program, you have to employ people. Even if you've already laid them off, you have to bring them back on for a certain period of time. And if anybody, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of details within that. So just read the fine print for sure. Okay. But again, I'm not an expert whatsoever in that stuff. You need to talk to a financial person. What do I use? Would I use aluminum or stainless steel coils instead of copper so the coils don't crack? I would not use aluminum at all. Stainless steel does not transfer heat very well, so copper is probably the best choice, in my opinion, for heat transfer and for longevity. A copper tube and fin coil for sure. Most manufacturers are going to microchannel condensers, and they're going to really cheap Chinese copper tube and fin coils and or aluminum microchannel coils. My personal preference, I'm not a fan of them, but they're a moneymaker for sure because, you know, they'll go bad a lot and you'll get to replace them a lot. So you do the math there. Let's see. Yeah, I can tell you that when and if the economy, well, when the economy picks back up, there is certainly going to be a crap ton of work, just like Jared said, because we came from a slow winter where a lot of customers were putting off their repairs and maintenances, and it's going to hit them tenfold. I mean, it's actually kind of sad when you think about it. In my area, the restaurants were already having a hard time, the big commercial chains. They were having a hard time because we had a really mild winter. We had good economy, but they were kind of holding off on repairs to try to save money and all kinds of stuff. And then this hit the fan. So then, of course, they paused and canceled all preventative maintenances, stopped all capital projects and all that fancy stuff. And then if we have a really hot summer, which I kind of feel like we're going to, they're going to get their asses kicked because they're going to have so much equipment go down. It's going to be insane because nothing has been maintained for a crazy amount of time. It's going to be bad. If everything picks back up, they're going to get hit hard because they're going to be coming out of this economic downturn or trying to come out of it, and then they're going to hit with all these equipment repairs, and it's going to be crazy. So you know, yeah, I don't know. There's going to be it's going to hit people really hard. We're going to feel this one for years. So let me see what else I got going on here. Ren is asking me if I'm adding residential to my company. You know, I've considered it. I mean, if it got really, really bad, maybe we would consider it. Right now, that's not something I want to do. But, you know, yeah, sure. I mean, you know, I would consider it, but I am not a salesman whatsoever. So I'm a repair person. And my crew is not set up for installations or anything like that. Certainly we could transition to that, but, you know, yeah, I mean, everything's on the table. I'd consider doing anything if I had to. All right. Let me see what we got going on. Some people in Chicago sell food on the street. This is hitting that. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, there's lots of people here in California. They actually just made some sort of rule that says people can actually sell food out of like food trucks and stuff like that. And there's been a crap ton of vendors. All those people, they ain't selling nothing. There's people that were setting up carts. It actually pissed me off down the street from my house. They'd have like freaking mariachi band playing and they're selling food on the side of the street. And I mean, they would get tons of people. So you got to think that they were making, you know, surviving, that was an income for them. And now they don't have that at all. So, yeah, I mean, that's economically hitting everybody. Whether or not it pissed me off or not, I mean, it's still economically hitting everybody. So, yeah, it's interesting. Definitely time, Sterling, to get certified as an air balancer. Yeah. And, you know, reading my YouTube comments and reading my emails and trying to think of ways that we can come out of this in a different aspect or trying to approach it in a smart way to think how can we turn the tables on this. You know, thinking of things I can do like getting certified in air balance. Another thing to think about too is coming out of this, I bet you anything that a lot of these restaurants are going to start wanting to fix their economizers on their package units. They're going to want to start regulating the fresh air into the building because I have a feeling that coming out of this, they're going to realize that fresh air is the key source to these buildings and not recirculating stagnant air that people are off-gassing and breathing out, in my opinion, as opposed to adding all kinds of weird additives and UV lights and all this crap to it. I feel like fresh air, in my opinion, is going to be a great resource in solving a lot of these problems. So, you know, maybe that's going to be a good place for us to focus our energies on, possibly, is indoor air quality and trying to get fresh air into the buildings, which ironically, there's actually codes in place that say in California you have to have certain amounts of fresh air, but nobody does. Everybody bypasses all that crap. Nobody wants to fix it. So, all right. Every time I say okay or you have to take a drink. So, challenge on. Time to buy another refrigeration company and expand. Not for me. I'm such a control freak that I couldn't handle any more responsibility because I take it to heart. I can't focus on multiple things. Hell no. So, all right, I'm going to get to my list of things. So I had 2 videos in the last week. One of them was beer walk and equipment change out, okay, where I had a bad compressor and we changed out the equipment to an intelligent R448A system, okay. And then the second one was a loud noise from the exhaust fan. The loud noise from the exhaust fan was a a return visit a couple years later on an exhaust fan that I had bad bearings on. So that one was interesting. And it's funny too, because I saw it in the comments. A lot of people that have been watching my videos for a while remembered that video. So it's kind of cool. Looking to see what I missed here. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man? Let's see. How can I become an air balance technician? Air balance tech is just, you basically have to get certified in air balance. That's totally different. So a lot of people don't focus on air balance because nobody wants to spend the money on it, but it's a whole different side of our industry, air balance technicians. And there's a lot of focus in the design of the building and the airflow of the building, following plans, making sure that the right amount of air is being delivered to certain areas of the building. The air balancing can be put into residential, and it can be put into the commercial side too. So, Ruben, what up, Ruben? What do you mean hire you, dude? You work for freaking, you're super busy on the supermarket side, my friend. All right. So, another thing that I wanted to point out too, I released my first video, of course, because I've been saying I was going to do it forever, and I finally had a little bit of time to shoot the video. I released my first video on my tools channel. So if you guys haven't already, please do me a favor, go to my tools channel and subscribe to it. I'm going to throw a link in the show notes right now. It's called HVACR Tools. There's the link right there. How you doing, Dallas? How's it going, my bud or my friend? So if you haven't already, please do me a favor and go subscribe to my new tools channel. I did my work pant review. So basically for the last 4 months, I think, or something like that, I've been trying out 5 different pairs of work pants. And I did a video on my new tools channel where I talked about the things that I liked about each different type of pants. There was only one pair of pants that I would pretty much burn, and that was the Flexpedition by Duluth Trading. They were the stupidest pants in the world. Just burn those things. They're dumb. Everything else had a use for it. But yeah, check out the video. Do me a favor. Let me know what you think if you guys haven't already subscribed. I've got some new videos coming out too. Next one, I'm still waiting on some issues with the thermal imaging camera, but I'm going to do a review on my thermal imaging cameras. I've got the Sporlan Smart Pro R tools, which I've actually got sitting right back there behind me. And we're going to be doing a video on those, and then start talking about some of the tools that I already have in my van that I use a lot, vacuum pumps, recovery machines, and that'll be coming soon too. So pay attention to that, okay? Let's see what I'm missing in the chat. Let me see. What is going on? Should you get a Hoshizaki ice machine? You're thinking about getting one. That's an interesting question, Adam. But I mean, Hoshizaki ice machines are good ice machines. So if you're in the market for an ice machine, I would suggest it for sure. Depends though. I mean, depends on which ice machine. There's some Hoshizaki machines that I despise. I like their Crescent Cuber machines. They're great machines. Their Flaker machines are nice machines too. But other than that, I'm not a fan of all the other fancy stuff they have. They do have a residential one that makes kind of like little top hat ice machine cubes or ice cubes. That's a pretty cool little machine. But there's some other ones that I really don't care for. There's certain instances that I would recommend a Manitowoc ice machine. There's certain instances that I would recommend a Follett ice machine. So it just really depends on what kind of ice you're looking for. If you want chewable ice, I'd say the Follett ice machine. But, you know, anyways, that's a whole nother thing. I don't need to go off on a tangent. So something that I wanted to talk about, is it a Fluke 87? Hold on. No, this is similar to a Fluke 87, but this is a 233. The difference with this one is the head is removable. I bought this many years ago. I used it as my bench meter for a long time. Didn't use that too much. Realized it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. This is actually a really good Fluke meter that I really like, and this is the 376. This is a really, really nice meter. If they made the 376 with a swiveling head like the field piece has, and what else would I like? Oh, and if it did phase rotation like the field piece 660 or 680, then it would be the ideal perfect meter. But this is a high quality, very, very nice meter, and this is the Fluke 376. I really do like this one. Put this back real quick. All right. Joe said, let's talk about my COVID precautions with customers and when returning home. All right. Well, I really haven't been working very much, but first off, I have to my name. Where's it at? I have one. Hold on. I have 3 of the N95 masks because I cannot source them anywhere. I have plenty of gloves that I wear. I try not to go in confined spaces with other people. I work in commercial restaurants, so I'm usually not working around people for the most part. And right now, they're not calling me to work on their kitchen equipment. I've only gotten a few service calls. It's been on kitchen air conditioners and walk-in coolers and walk-in freezers, where I'm usually not in the kitchen with other people. I'm not shaking anybody's hands. We're not doing invoice signatures anymore. We've told that to all of our customers. So normally we'd fill out our invoice on our phone and they'd sign it. We're not doing that at all. No signatures. When we're all done, we just complete the work order. My secretary emails it over, has them sign it, and then fax it back, and then we use that as our copy. We're just being as cautious as possible. There's not a whole lot we can do other than washing our hands, using hand sanitizer as much as possible, and just trying to be careful. That's pretty much all I can say that I'm doing. If I'm, touching my tools and stuff like that, I'm trying to sanitize them. When I get home, I usually take my work boots off, make a beeline for my bedroom, throw my clothes. I have a separate hamper for my work clothes, throw my clothes in there, immediately get in the shower, wash off, and then that's pretty much it. But again, I really haven't been working very much. I mean, I swear I did 2 service calls last week, and that's it. 2. And that's absolutely it. So it's crazy. ERVs, has anyone ever worked on one? HVAC kid, ERVs. Honestly, haven't ever worked on an ERV. I've seen them in operation, but in the restaurants, I don't see them very much. So quit touching my face. Yeah, I know. That's the worst thing, especially when I get on these live streams. I get the Coke nose, dude. It starts itching like crazy. Yeah, whatever. I've been home by myself all day long, so. Let's see. What else am I missing? I'm going to go ahead and get to my list of stuff here. So can I have a oversized dryer? Do you have to have more refrigerant in the system? Yes. If you oversize in dryer, you have to compensate for that. So the dryers usually have a number on them that says what the internal volume of the dryer is. So you will have to typically change the refrigerant charge for the oversize of the dryer. So something I wanted to talk about, big picture diagnosis. I'm always preaching this in my video. Okay. Always talking about the big picture. And that is a difficult thing in general, because someone had asked me a question and I was kind of typing it back, and it kind of brought up something that I wanted to talk about. Generally by human nature, in my opinion, we're lazy. Okay. I'm lazy. You want to do the least amount of work possible so that way you don't have to work hard. That's human nature, in my opinion. Okay. Nobody is, in their head geared to absolutely figure out the hardest way to do something and then do it. But, okay, if I believe that you need a goal of some sort, okay? So because of the fact that I'm lazy by nature, I have to have a goal in my mind, and that goal drives me to want to strive to look at the big picture all the time, okay? And I'm using, for example, the video that I did where I had an exhaust fan, okay? I had an exhaust fan down, I had a refrigeration system down, and I mentioned in the video, but it was the exhaust fan video. I was actually there working on a bar reach-in. That was a couple weeks ago. And looking at the big picture, I decided to go ahead and walk around the rest of the roof. I walked around the rest of the roof, and as I walked by their exhaust fan, I heard a funny noise that didn't sound right. And I investigated further, and it led to finding out that we had bad motors or bad bearings in the motor. Okay. So having a goal helps me to want to look at the big picture all the time. Okay. Now, when I was first coming up in the trade, my goal was because simply I wanted to be the most badass service tech. I wanted to be the best out there, and I didn't want there to be a better service tech besides me. That was my goal when I was first coming up in the trade, okay? And in my head, I reached that goal one day. One day, I finally realized that my shit didn't stink. I was the baddest, best service tech there was. That didn't last for but 2 days. And then I realized that I didn't know anything, okay? Because you strive and you strive and you think you're the best. But then you realize when you get up on the top of that mountain, you realize that I'm really not the best. And once you start really analyzing that, you realize, oh my God, I don't know anything. Okay. Then you go down this path, and then you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff that I thought I knew, but I didn't. There's so many things that I've been doing that I realized I was wrong. And you find a happy medium between the two. I finally realized that there's never going to be that perfect technician. There's never going to be that person that knows everything, okay? You just have to strive to be better every single day. So what motivates me now? So in the beginning, I was motivated because I wanted to be the best service tech. Now, I'm motivated by, I know there's something else to learn, and I want to do my best to do the best job I can for the customer, okay? So I'm motivated by that. And another thing that motivates me to look at the big picture all the time is you guys. When I make these videos, sometimes I'm on the roof and it's Friday night and I'm de-icing a walk-in freezer, and I don't want to take the time to go through and check all the defrost heaters. I don't want to take the time to put my gauges on there because, again, I'm lazy by nature, right? So it'll probably be fine. It'll be but hey, guess what? I've already started filming this, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I got to keep going with this, okay? So you need a goal. Everybody needs a goal out there because by nature, in my opinion, we're all lazy. We all want to do the least amount of work, right? So you need a goal of some sort, okay? So I want to try to do the best for my customers. I want to give them the best bang for their buck, okay? And of course, I want to make money at the same time too, but I genuinely, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's something wrong with me as a service technician, as an owner, but I genuinely do not go to my customers thinking, I'm going to make X number of dollars from this job. I don't think about that. I have an hourly wage that I charge, and I go in there and I just keep my eyes open, use my senses, and listen. And the work jumps in my face, guys. So as we're at these jobs, you know, things like headphones. I talked in my video about the exhaust fan, about how I don't like people wearing headphones. Guys, if I was wearing headphones on that bar region, okay, I would have fixed the bar region and everything would have been fine. I wouldn't have heard the bearings going bad on that motor, on that exhaust fan from across the roof. And yes, eventually the customer would have called me. And yes, eventually I would have gotten the sale on that motor. But so many things would have happened in between. Instead, I was able to be doing a routine service call, fixing a refrigerant leak, and I heard something from across the roof. I went over to it. I was able to say, hey, there's something wrong with this exhaust fan. I was able to go downstairs and say, hey, to the customer, would you mind coming on the roof? I'd like to show you something, you know, and then I brought him up there and I showed him and I explained to him and I said, listen to this motor. This doesn't sound right to me. And then I pulled open another exhaust fan and I said, listen to this motor. It sounds much quieter. And then I said, look, this is what's going on. This is what could happen with that particular customer. If that exhaust fan fails, they have to close the building because they do not have redundant exhaust fans. They don't have extra exhaust fans to run that system, okay? And they the things they're cooking underneath that exhaust fan will completely make that building get shut down. So if they don't have that exhaust fan running, so they need it. So again, I used all that information and I didn't go to the customer like, I'm going to sell you a new motor and da-da-da-da-da-da. I went to them like this and I said, look, here's the deal. And they trust me. They genuinely trust me, okay? So yes, I could rip them off if I wanted to, but I won't because I'm not that kind of person. But I mean, they have that much trust in me that they didn't need to come on the roof, but I still, every time, I still like to take them on the roof, okay? Even though I know I have their trust, I still, when I'm done with fixing something, I take the parts down to them and I say, I have a little running joke with my customers. Every single time I take them the part and I say, here's the part. And they go, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And I said, I don't know, hang it on your Christmas tree. That's my little running joke with every one of my customers when I have a bad part. I hand it to them. I said, here's the bad part. And what am I supposed to do with this? I don't know, hang it on your Christmas tree. I don't care. I just wanted to give it to you. You know, so even though I have their trust, okay, I still show them that stuff. And, you know, people ask me, you know, what drives you to look at all this stuff? It's just the simple fact that I'm motivated by the fact that I want to do the best job that I can. Not necessarily, I'm not the best person out there. I realize that I don't do everything correctly. There's certainly things I could do better, and I try to learn, and I strive to learn that. But, you know, I'm not the best person, okay? But I just try to do the best for my customer and the abilities that I have, all right? Things like headphones are the worst thing in the world when you're on a job. Now, there's a time and place for headphones because if you're working in on a chiller In a mechanical room, of course, or you're working in a rack room at a supermarket, of course you got to have some sort of ear protection, right? But I mean, common sense. I'm on a roof working on a package unit. You don't need headphones for that, okay? Don't wear headphones. You're doing a preventative maintenance. They're boring. Don't wear headphones because you're missing things, okay? Even if you don't find a single thing on that roof while you're doing the preventative maintenance, you're finding your brain is processing so much data that you don't even know you're processing. Okay, because the next time you go back to that roof and you hear something different, your brain is going to recognize that and it's going to say, wait a minute, something's not right here. And you won't be able to figure out what it is. You're like, wait, what is off here? And you're sitting here racking your brain. But as you start walking around and trust your instincts, you're going to say, wait a minute, something sounds different. Because the last time you were doing the preventative maintenance, you weren't wearing headphones, or the 5 times before that, and you start to notice things. You standing next to a package unit, and I could hear bearings going out on a condenser fan motor from across the room, or you can hear the pitch change when the capacitor's going bad because the motor's starting to overheat. There's so many weird things that you can pick up on that you wouldn't otherwise be able to pick up on if you're doing your preventative maintenances with headphones on, okay? So do your best to try to give the customer the best experience, the best, service call that you can give them, because that trust goes for years. Okay, guys, I'm not bragging because in no way am I the perfect business person, right? My dad started this business in 1987, 88 or something like that. But guess what? We still have one of the customers from 1990 is still one of our best customers from 1990, guys. We don't really advertise, and I'm not bragging. It's probably the worst business model that we have, but we don't advertise at all. Our business model is word of mouth. And the reason why I'm saying that's one business model. I certainly agree that there should be some other business models that we have too. But what I'm saying is that trust that the customer has in us, that trust that they have in me, moves with them. So let's say that general manager gets promoted to an area director and then he leaves the company and he goes to another restaurant chain. My hopes are that he's going to remember me and he's going to take me with him to his next chain, because that's what's happened. I have another restaurant chain that I work for because of the first restaurant chain. And the same happens over and over and over again, because you give the customer trust. You admit your faults to them. There's many customers that we have admitted our faults to. We've gone to them where they probably wouldn't have known otherwise. And we've said, hey, you know what? We screwed this up and we're going to warranty this. I just want you to know that. They would have never known. I could have simply just said, oh, yeah, whatever. But we were honest with them and they remembered that and they move on. So take that with you, okay? Remember that the big picture mindset, what I started out with, is a very hard thing to follow. But if you can, it's gonna reward you so much, because you're gonna find things that you never knew you would have found. You're gonna solve problems, okay? And the customer inevitably is gonna be happier in the long run. Yeah, it might cost them a couple more bucks, okay? But just because I'm looking at the big picture doesn't mean that the customer is always gonna take the big picture repair. They're not always gonna approve that quote, but at least I'm going to them with all the information and they get to make those educated decisions, okay? I'm gonna get into this chat. Now that I went off on a tangent, and see what else we can talk about. So let's see what I'm missing here in the chat. If I missed anything, post it again, okay? Let's see. You believe... Okay, I'm seeing if I missed anything. Would I like direct drive fans more if they were designed better? HVAC Kid. My problem with direct drive fans is the motors are always almost OEM motors. So let's say I have a captive air fan and it has a direct drive motor in it. You're not going to be able to go to United Refrigeration and get that direct drive motor, because Captive Air has designed that motor. It's got a funky motor bracket. It's got a weird mounting pattern. So my problem with direct drive motors is you can't usually use an aftermarket replacement. So that's why I like belt driven, because you can just go get a 56 frame or a 134T frame and, replace it with any motor. That's my problem with direct drive fans. Oftentimes you can't get an aftermarket motor for them. Let's see. Do I treat my guys right, or am I mean to them? Do I treat my guys right, or am I mean to them? I would say that I have high expectations for my service technicians, and I expect them to treat the customers and care for the customers as much as I do. So whether or not I'm mean to them, I don't know. That's a question you can ask my guys, because you know, they may think I'm mean to them when I don't think I'm mean to them. So that's kind of, I can't really answer that question. My service techs would have to answer that for you. But I will say that I hold my service technicians. I expect my service technicians to perform work like I perform it. I expect them to think about the customers like I think about them, because that's the only way we do business. We treat our customers the way that I want to treat them. We give them all the information and we let the customers make the decisions. So I can't answer the fact whether or not I'm mean to my employees. I don't know. How often? Let's see. Has it been slow since quarantine? Have I had to lay anyone off? Dre 2K. So to be honest with you, we have not officially laid anybody off, but we have told everybody to file for unemployment. We don't know where this is going to go. My guys haven't worked in at least a week and a half. They've all been sitting home. So, I mean, you know, we don't know to this point. We don't know because we're waiting for our customers to start making service calls. And right now, they're not making any service calls. But it's not just us. Every other restaurant refrigeration company is doing the same thing right now. So we don't know. I mean, it's scary. It's absolutely scary. Have I had to slim down my company? I haven't slimmed down. I think I just kind of answered that question. How often do I replace AC economizers? Almost never. Customers never want to replace economizers. Usually if they have bad motors, they want them bypassed and then they don't want to fix them anymore. Let's see. What's the comfort food I have been eating more frequently? Well, I will tell you right now, more than I ever have in the world, I've been drinking beer. Still, my beer to choice is the Rogue Hazelnut Nectar. I feel guilty that I've drank. And guys, okay, so I'm going to make you guys laugh because in the last 3 weeks, I've drank 2 6-packs of beer and I feel extremely guilty. So that's my drinking. I don't drink that much. So 2 6-packs of beer in 2.5 weeks is bad for me. But my comfort food, I've actually been doing really good because I had something clicked in my head about 4 months ago, and I changed my diet, and it was just a mental choice. To be honest with you, the reason why I changed my diet was because I felt like my life insurance policy that I have right now is due in 20 years, right? It's up for renewal in 20 years. And I just recently found out that my biological mom has diabetes, and that diabetes has been running in her family. So I hit 220 pounds, and I'm 5'10", so that's overweight for me. And that started to scare me. And I really wanted to go into the doctor when I found out my mom was diabetic. And I was afraid to get a doctor or to go to the doctor. So I decided I wanted to change my health, and something clicked in my head, and I genuinely cut sugar out of my diet. And I cut junk food out of my diet. And other than drinking the 2 6-pack of beer in the last 2.5 weeks, all I drink during the day is water. I have coffee in the morning, and then occasionally I'll have a glass of iced tea, but no sugar. So I personally cut most of the crap out of my diet. And I decided for the most part to not overeat anymore. So I really don't have a comfort food per se that I've been eating more so other than drinking those 2 6-packs of beer. So, yeah, see, I'm not a drinking person. So, all right. I have become a booze hound, man. I'm dying right now. You know, these live streams, it's become this thing where it's like, I'm going to have 3 beers during the live stream and then I have to pee 4 times. Uh-oh. It's empty. All right. When you're laid off, do you have to reapply to the company? Honestly, I don't know. We've never laid anybody off. I don't know the rules. So I genuinely can't answer that question. You have killed an 18-pack of Blue in a little over a week and a half. I'm assuming that's the piss beer, Bud Light, right? Blue? Yeah, no. No, thank you. I need whiskey to prevent the corona. Yeah. Hey, but I will say that I did score because right in the beginning of the corona thing, I started scouring Amazon for like sanitizer and all that crap, and I couldn't find any sanitizer, but I managed to find a company that sent me 2 gallons of alcohol. So I have 2 gallons of alcohol. What I'm going to do with it, I don't know because I couldn't get aloe vera to make hand sanitizer, but I have 2 gallons of alcohol, so I can start not drinking alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So at least I can sanitize. It's the little things, right? All right. Yeah, definitely hit the thumbs up button, guys. It really does help the stream. I'd really appreciate it, especially since we have 255 people watching right now and 65 likes. Smash that thumbs up button. It really helps the algorithm. Really, really appreciate it, guys, okay? Let me get to my list of stuff to talk about. So I had a question, and this is a good one. I'm going to go ahead and answer this right now. So forgive me, I don't have your name. I don't think I could tell your name from the email, but someone had asked me a really good question, and they said, how do you size expansion valves for refrigeration systems when you have mismatched equipment? And that's actually a really good question, because oftentimes we have refrigeration equipment, a walk-in cooler per se, okay, for example. Pardon me, I'm pouring my drink. We have a walk-in cooler that has a 18,000 BTU condensing unit with a 16,000 BTU evaporator coil. And that happens a lot because you can only get an evaporator coil every certain size, right? So how do you size an expansion valve when you have mismatched equipment? Because normally in a perfect world, if you have properly matched equipment, you go off of the evaporator BTUs and you size your expansion valve. You look at your evaporator temperature, your pressure drop, you size the valve, okay? But when you have an oversized condensing unit, that can start to mess with your evaporator TD, and that messes things up. So a great question. He had asked me, how do you size an expansion valve when you have mismatched equipment? So what I'm going to suggest, first off, I'm going to highly suggest that you guys go check out Sporlan's website as usual. Sporlan has so much information on their website. Sporlan.com, Sporlan Bulletin exactly 10-9 on expansion valves. They have all kinds of crazy information about expansion valves. The second thing I'm going to tell you to do is to go to purchase the book, Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians. Hold on. Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians by Dick Wurz. I got no affiliation, guys, but this really is a great book. It is chapter 11 in that book. Actually specifically discusses how to size expansion valves when you have mismatched equipment. Okay, so the easiest way, in a nutshell, I want you to read the book. I want you to read Sporlan's thing. But if your condensing unit is bigger than your evaporator, which is most of the time, okay, then all that you're going to do is you're going to take the BTU capacity at the ambient temperature of the condensing unit. You're going to take the BTU capacity at the ambient temperature in the box. You're going to average those two BTU capacities. You're going to find a medium or an average BTU capacity, and you're going to size that valve based off of your pressure drop on the average BTU capacity between the condensing unit and the evaporator. But again, check out Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians, Chapter 11, and then also look at the Sporlan 10-9, and they're going to help you a little bit more. But that's how I would approach that situation. And as you start to run into systems that you put in the right valve and you realize that you can't get your evaporator TD where they have it, or, you know, at 10 degrees or whatever, you're running like a 3-degree evaporator TD, I bet you if you go back and look at that system, you're going to find out that the equipment's mismatched. If you also go to Sporlan's website, they also have a lot of great information that's manufacturer specific. So Sporlan has Heatcraft information. So if you're using a Heatcraft coil, they know what size distributors Heatcraft puts in there with the nozzles, and they can help you to properly size that too. Very importantly, if you're changing expansion valves, you got to make sure you have the right nozzle or orifice installed in that valve, basically, okay? Russell or HTPG evaporator coils, they don't have independent nozzles. They're built into the distributor. So with that being said, you can't really correctly do a TXV swap as far as changing refrigerants without changing the whole distributor. Now on a Heatcraft, they have little nozzles that you can actually take out and swap out the nozzles. Check that out. If you're looking for new distributors, you can also go to Sporlan too, because they'll sell the distributors, okay? Another question that I had in the email I got was, you know, someone just making a comment, is this equipment made to fail? And I thought that was a really good question, because in general, people are asking, is equipment made to fail? And I wouldn't say that equipment is made to fail per se, okay? But we as consumers, we demand cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. I call it the Amazon effect, but it was way before Amazon. We as consumers are constantly saying, this is too expensive, we need a better option. This is too expensive, we need a better option. Or, you know, we can't afford this kind of stuff. And manufacturers are conforming to that. Okay. So we bitch and we bitch and we bitch about equipment. So if you notice, you can have a walk-in cooler evaporator that was made in the 1980s. Let's just say 1986, right? You can have a Heatcraft evaporator that I'm literally replacing today. Okay. 37 years old, whatever it is, right? And I put in a new Heatcraft evaporator, same model number, same BTU capacity, and it won't last 5 years. And that's because the copper thickness is thinner. The wall of the copper is thinner. The aluminum is thinner. The materials that they're using are cheaper. Now, is that the manufacturer? I'm not going to say it's the manufacturer per se, as it's us as a consumer demanding cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. So, of course, the manufacturer still needs to make a profit. And, some of that blame goes on to the manufacturer. But is equipment designed to fail? No, I wouldn't say that it's technically designed to fail. I'd say that we as consumers demand equipment that's cheaper. Therefore, to make it cheaper, it's easier and more prone to fail. Make sense? All right. In the exhaust fan video that I did, why did I replace the motor as opposed to changing the bearings? And how come I changed the motor instead of just letting it fail? So I had a couple different comments from people, one from a particular stupid person, I guess I would say. And he was saying that I was ripping the customer off because that motor didn't need to be changed, la-di-da-di-da. And whatever, I'll let him say what he wants to say. I don't care. But when it comes to exhaust fans, there's a lot of stuff that come into my mind that I think that I don't really verbalize when I'm making a video, or I may not tell you guys, okay? So when I'm dealing with a customer, for instance, that exhaust fan video, I'm thinking that exhaust fan, if that exhaust fan shuts down, again, I'm thinking about the customer's best interest, guys. Not necessarily thinking about my profits. And maybe I'm wrong in that way, okay? Because I just go in there thinking, I want to do the customer right, okay? And I think that if that exhaust fan fails, that customer has to shut the door. If you guys don't understand how a restaurant works, if a customer has to shut the door, there's a couple things that happen. First off, they lose sales because a lot of times that they have to shut down the building, they end up comping meals, meaning that the customers that are in the building, they can't get their burger because they just had to shut down. So therefore, we'll give you an extra beer for free. We'll pay for your appetizer, whatever, and they'll finish up. Then they have to lock their doors, right, until I get out there to fix it. In the process of locking their doors, they also have something that happens, and that new customers that pull up to that building, they realize that the building is shut down. So therefore they drive away and they go to another restaurant. So they lose a customer. But then on top of that, they have brand reputation. Brand reputation, in my opinion, is that customer that drove away, they remember that. And they come back next time, or they think, hey, we want to go to Red Robin. And instinctually in their head, they think, yeah, but last time we went there, they were shut down. Yeah, let's not go there. Let's go somewhere else. So then they just lost another sale. And that sale isn't necessarily measurable. So again, thinking about the customer's best interests, when I go to a customer and I say, this equipment is about to fail, I'm being honest with them. And I'm thinking about further down the line. And I realize the things that go into that business. So am I wrong for changing that motor? No, I know I'm not wrong because I didn't make the decision to change that motor. I gave the customer my honest opinion, educated, right? And I said, this is what's going on. The motor's going bad. I can tell you that the bearings are going bad. And I let them make the decision. Do you want me to change the motor? And then they chose to change it. Okay. What about changing the bearings in that motor? Because the only thing potentially that was wrong was bearings were going bad because I could hear it from across the roof. Well, another thing, have to think in my head. Is it really worth on a 3 horsepower? Is it really worth on a 5 horsepower motor? Whatever it is, to change bearings, okay? Sometimes it may be, sometimes it's not. But you have to think about everything in the grand scheme of things. That particular customer is in an ambient climate, right? The outdoor air temperature on average in the summertime is 110 degrees to 120 degrees. That's La Quinta, California. So imagine what the internal temperature of that motor is. So you tell me, is there any possibility that with an internal motor temperature of 150 degrees, or do you think hotter? Let's just say 160 degrees, maybe 170 degrees. Do you think there's any possibility that there's any internal damage to the windings of that motor? I don't know. Is it worth the risk to put in a new bearings on it and then have the motor fail again, knowing that the customer is going to have to shut down if that exhaust fan fails? So that's all the stuff that rolls through my brain when I'm thinking about, nah, it's not worth changing a bearing in a motor. Plus, I just know that motor costs $500 or whatever it is, right? It's not worth my time and my labor to put in bearings in it. That's just kind of a silly question. So, all right. Every seat is worth $10,000 to a restaurant. That's the truth. Scott made a good point. And they may not take $10,000. They may not make $10,000, but there's so much that goes into. If you have a good dining experience, you're hoping for a return visit to that customer. A return visit and maybe them telling another person that it's worth it. So there's so much that goes into a customer. What soda machine do I recommend? I have no idea, Adam. I don't work on soda machines. Adam, out of curiosity, I'm just not throwing you under the bus, but why do you go back and forth between the Molly name and the Adam name? Like, I'm just curious. I don't know. All right. Let's see. Has anyone ever worked on a Lauren Cook fan? Yeah, I've worked on plenty of Lauren Cook fans. It's Isaiah, right? HVAC kid? It's Isaiah. I think so. So, all right. Let's see what else I got. Does UV light kill coronavirus? Adam Showers. There is no proof that a UV light kills coronavirus right now. There is claims by the manufacturers of the UV lights that they kill certain viruses. Let's take this back. I should rephrase that statement. Okay, first off, let's make this completely clear. Coronavirus is a group of viruses, okay? The coronavirus consists of the common cold, the swine flu or the bird flu, COVID-19, all these different viruses, okay? So the media is actually doing us a disservice by calling it coronavirus. What we're fighting right now is the COVID-19, which is a strain of coronavirus. So does a UV light kill coronaviruses? Yes, it actually does, because there is papers and documentation saying that UV lights can kill types of coronaviruses. Is there proof and documentation saying that a UV light kills COVID-19? Not at this moment. Now, there's another thing to think about. What else does a UV light kill? What is a byproduct of a UV light? Certain UV lights, again, I am not a genius about indoor air quality, but certain byproducts of certain UV lights is ozone. It's been proven that ozone can be harmful to some people, animals, different things like that. So be very careful about pushing UV lights, because there's lots of misinformation out there. Now, there's some UV lights that don't produce ozone. There's so much, it's so confusing. It's hard to say, but COVID-19 does not have any cures or anything that kills it as of yet that has been scientifically proven, at least last I did research on. So, all right. Let me see what else. AC company versus self-employer, which is better? Good question. At this point in time right now, working for there's times in my life that I have really wished that I just worked for someone, and right about now is one of those times, because having to make some stupid decisions that I never thought I'd have to make, having to deal with a lot of things. Yeah, I don't know. That one's a real good question for you. So let's see what else. Agreed. All right, do I ever work on ACs with UV lights? No, HVAC Smith, I haven't. There is also a time period that the virus needs to be exposed to a certain particular UV light. Yeah, that's definitely true. And also a UV light, there's certain things that you have to consider, how long the air sits on a UV light for it to actually kill things within there. So if you can't just throw the same size UV light in an airstream of a 2000 CFM fan versus a 400 CFM fan, because the air is moving a lot slower across a 400 CFM fan. Again, I am not an expert. I just know that there's a lot of variables that go into sizing UV lights. So, let's see. You're enjoying Fired Up Chris tonight. That's right, Sean Mack. Piss me off, give me a beer, and I'll start going off on a tangent. I've gotten into more internet fights with giant mega business owners. Not even going to name names, but mega business owners. I've gotten into arguments because of crap they posted on Facebook about the banning of Freon and TV commercials and news interviews and shit like that they did. And then I've also gotten into internet arguments with chemical manufacturers because they're stating that they kill coronavirus and all. It's just, it's all been in private, so it hasn't been in public forums per se, but I've gotten into more internet arguments lately because I'm genuinely don't like people lying and ripping people off. I don't care your business model, but when you genuinely lie to people, that pisses me off. So is it more stressful now than in the past? No, I'd say it's pretty much equally as stressful as usual, Ren. Business is just a nightmare in general. So what do I think or have heard about Bluon 22 replacement? Great question. Let's get on the Bluon tangent. So Bluon reached out to me. I said this on my last live stream. Bluon reached out to me 3 times in the last 4 months wanting to advertise on my channel, and honestly I just blew them off. I didn't answer their emails at all because I genuinely didn't really want to work with Bluon. Honestly, really would like to work with Honeywell refrigerants. Genuinely, I really would like to work with Honeywell refrigerants, but whatever. Nothing really has come of that yet, but Bluon's reached out to me, and then I blew them off, and then they went around me and started advertising on YouTube and just targeting HVAC channels. So it's kind of funny. Sometimes I wonder if I should have just worked with them because they're advertising technically on my channel anyways, right? So I realized someone reached out to me and said I can block them, but I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm not really going to do it, but just kind of silly. What heat source do I use to heat up the receiver to check the refrigerant level? Jared, that is a question that I will never answer due to liability reasons, but I will tell you that that heat source is very easy to use. Go ahead, everybody in the chat that knows what heat source I use to heat up a receiver with, just go ahead and say it in the chat. I'm not going to say it, but the guys in the chat can say it. Everybody already knows what heat source I use. All the refrigeration guys, just do me a favor. Say it in the chat. What heat source do I use to heat up a receiver with? Really easy. What is the price of Bluon compared to R22? Retread, honestly, don't know. Don't know. Hey, Ralph, how you doing, bud? All right. Cue the music, take a sip of beer, and rip a new one. Definitely, definitely. All right. Is the U.S. on lockdown at the moment? Yes, the U.S. is on lockdown. Okay, but I'm going to say right now that the media hypes things up and says that we're on lockdown. We're technically not on lockdown. You can leave your house to go get food. You can leave your house to go get exercise and all that crap. Heat gun. Oh, come on, HVAC rookie. I don't use a heat gun. Come on. Whatever heat source you use, it has to be something that doesn't exceed the soft plug temperature. That's all I can say. But everybody knows what heat source I use. Rick says a flamethrower. Carlos Cervantes says map gas. All of you are pretty close. Sterling Archer says oxyacetylene. There's been some correct answers in there. I will say that I don't use an oxyacetylene. I can guarantee that one just because it's too hard to lug my torches up on the roof. I don't really want to unless I have it up there. Plus, a torch can get really hot really fast. So, Joe says flamethrower. LM Silva says a map source. I will say that the tool that I uses a type of gas. That's about all I'm going to say. So, barbecue lighter. All right. Didn't want to throw you under the bus. It's okay, Scott. I'm just messing with you, bud. Ruben, you want to advertise on my channel? Go ahead and advertise on my channel, Ruben. I'll give you a great price if you want to advertise on my channel. So, a cigarette lighter. All right. I'm going to get to my list of things to talk about. Why do I wear these ridiculous headphones, and why do I use this ridiculously big microphone for something as stupid as YouTube videos? That was genuinely a comment. Because I want to, dummy. Why else? What does it matter what microphone I want to use and what headphones I want to use? That was the stupidest question in the world. I just thought that was a funny one. All right. Let's see. Can you use a PT chart to charge a system? That was actually a really good question asked before the live stream. And I told the guy that I would answer it. So, all right. So the person asked me a question and they said, how can you charge a system without weighing the charge in? So that's a great question. And they said, can you use a PT chart? So first and foremost, it really depends on the system that you're working on. In order to use a PT chart, you need to understand a few different things. What is your condenser TD? What is your evaporator TD? What kind of a system are you working on? Okay. Once you understand your condenser TD, a PT chart can get you in the ballpark. And then from that point forward, you would need to adjust your charge via superheat and subcooling. And or if you're working on a refrigeration system with a receiver, you would just clear the sight glass, then dial in your evaporator superheat once the box comes down to temperature. So can a PT chart be used to charge a system properly? Yes, but there's a lot more that goes into it. You can't just charge via pressures, okay? You have to understand what those pressures should be. And the great point that comes from that topic right there, before you work on an air conditioner, before you work on a refrigeration system, you have absolutely no business putting your service gauges on that system if you don't already know what the pressure should be. And what I mean by that is not necessarily what the pressure number should be, but you need to understand what the temperatures of the system should be, what the saturation temperature should be. If you understand the saturation temperatures, then you will be able to find out what your system pressure should be, because your saturation temperatures are directly related to your pressures in the system, if that makes sense, okay? If I haven't answered your question enough, send me an email, but that should be a general understanding. You should be able to understand it from that. What is the device with the red and white wires on top of the bookshelf? That is a great question, and for that, I'm actually going to play a video that I queued up where I'm going to show you that right now, because I queued up a video that I'm going to show. Let's see if I can figure this out correctly. And let me turn that off. And let me turn this up. And let me make sure that that is not open. Close that window. Hold on just a second. And there we go. And I'm going to transition this over, and I'm going to play you guys a little video, and it's going to explain exactly what that device is up on that shelf. Going to come in and do a little studio tour with the behind the scenes of what goes on in here. So a lot of people question the stuff that I have up on my shelves in here. These are both hermetic compressor analyzers, this one being the oldest, an old Annie, and then this one is thermal engineering, I believe. This is the one that I actually used when I was first coming up. Discharge bypass valve. Sporlan sent me that when I was cutting apart a bunch of valves. We got my dad's old Simpson 260. Just a bunch of field piece meters back there, some other various meters, fluke meters, different things. This is a scroll compressor that I cut apart. Here's the scroll plate, all the different components. I think I have a video maybe on Instagram on that. There's the motor. Just some other trinkets. My wife randomly put this in here as a joke to see if I would notice this gnome, and I just kind of left it in here. These are some things. I just released my first video on my tool review channel, HVACR Tools. Do me a favor and go subscribe if you haven't already. I did on work pants, different types and the kind that I chose to use. Going to be doing a review on these Sporlan Smart Pro R sensors. These are the long range ones. We'll be talking about those soon. A couple thermal imaging cameras that I've been using over the last couple months. We'll be talking about those soon. Bunch of Sporlan posters and different things that I have. Obviously, they're a sponsor of my videos, so they send me all kinds of cool stuff to put on the walls. Some components. You know, I've gone through a little phase where I cut up components. That's an SDR valve, a couple dryers that I cut open, receiver, pressure regulating valves, liquid line solenoid valve, all kinds of stuff back in here. I've got all kinds of various videos, a couple more valves that I cut apart right here, expansion valve, head pressure control valve, took apart a recovery cylinder to show the dip tube, just various books. Everybody asks me what book I recommend. Right here, Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians by Dick Wers. Hands down the best refrigeration book out there. Some great information. Sporlan, you know, beer cups. Lots of questions on these cars up in here. These are not typical models. These are actually made out of Legos. My daughter made them for me. I just use them as decoration in my office. An old charging cylinder. I never used that charging cylinder, but there's really not much fancy to my office. It's just a normal little office. There's the view outside my window. The neighbor's house over there. Little garden right here. That fancy stuff. I usually don't have that open when I'm streaming. I just have it open for ventilation right now. Kind of wasted space back there because I have my computer tables pushed all the way back, but some studio lights, some more Sporlan posters. Rodecaster Pro mixing board. This is awesome. If you guys are doing any podcasting or anything like that, I highly recommend the Rodecaster Pro. You can do multi-inputs, XLR inputs. You can have Bluetooth phone connection, plug-in phone connection. You can do computer audio. You can do boards. So when I do my live streams, the intro to my live stream, I hit these pads and it does my intro music and my outro music and the beer pour and all that stuff. I use Streamlabs OBS for streaming my live stream. We're getting ready to go live right now, soon, in about 40 minutes or so for my live stream on March 30th, 2020. So that'll be getting ready. Before every live stream, I come up with like a list of topics of things that I want to talk about. So I got that list set up. I still have to go through and do a few more things. I use a Stream Deck for pulling up different websites. Obviously don't use it to its full potential, but a Stream Deck, essentially, if I just hit a button on there, like for instance, Sporlan, boom, see it automatically pops up their website. I talk about Sporlan's website often, so I have that queued up. Same thing with Heatcraft RPD, pops right up. So I really like the Stream Deck. Again, I know I'm not using it to its full potential, but at this point in time, that's what I'm using it for. So that way when I'm doing live streams or something, if someone asks a question about something with Heatcraft, I can pull up installation manuals or Sporlan manuals or whatever. Nothing too fancy. I didn't spend a bunch of money on this office. These are just a bunch of IKEA desks that I just kind of pieced together and some shelves and different things like that. So nothing really too amazing. Use a Dell computer, a couple hard drives to back up all my stuff. Use that fan, actually, just some funny stuff. Like I use this fan for white noise because obviously I have a family. So I turn the fan on, turn it on medium, and it'll usually drown out any noise that happens in the hallway of my house or anything like that. So that way you don't hear that, because my microphone, I use a Rode Procaster, and the Procaster picks up noise all the way across the house. So pretty crazy. There's my little setup right there. When I'm streaming, the mic kind of comes over. Headphones right there. I have a second mic for when I do stuff with my wife, and occasionally she comes in and she's getting ready to possibly do a podcast with her friends, so they've been coming in and recording, doing different things like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just Sporlan wall posters. You know, I actually utilize those pressure temperature charts quite often when people email me different things going through. You know, I do pay attention to all the comments on my videos and different things like that. I do try to pay attention to the emails. So usually what I do is right before the live stream, the day of the live streams, I'll go through and I'll start answering emails, sending out links to the live stream. And then people are asking me questions all the time on the emails, and I'll go through and, you know, look at the pressure temperature charts. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. My drawers are all just full of junk. There's nothing organized about my office. You open them up, there's just piles and piles of camera gear and different stuff like that. Passports, for whatever reason, are in there from a vacation. You see piles and piles of stuff. So I'm not some super perfect, fancy, whatever person. It's just a normal office in here. So this is a lot of questions about this too, my smoke detector training board. So I set this up for my service technicians and for myself to be able to kind of play with them. This is my buddy Bill, Curious HVAC guy. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He sent me that. But anyways, I have a smoke detector training board here just with a dual head smoke detector, and I have an end of line resistor set up so we can do trouble conditions. So we can power it up. We can simulate a few different things, troubleshoot it. We got a schematic right here. Smoke detectors were something that always confused me, but once I figured them out, I realized how easy they were, and so that's why I set up this training board, so that way we can go through it in the office and just kind of play with it. We can remove the resistor, you know, create a trouble condition, show what it does. We can configure the duct detector to do different things. So yeah, pretty cool little stuff. I suggest just go pick up one of those boards from Home Depot if you're ever curious, and you can set up all kinds of training stuff. Like for instance, I've been thinking about doing one with motor starters. So this is a bad motor starter, so this one won't work, but I could pick up a couple motor starters and, you know, set them up, and we could do different trouble conditions and stuff like that. So I suggest just doing that kind of stuff. You know, if you want to learn, just set one up, start playing with it, you know, throw a transformer on it, get some 24-volt motor starters and go to town. You could start simulating all kinds of stuff, and you're not going to hurt yourself. So, all right. So I had set that up just because I've been getting a lot of questions about the office and different things like that. And then in the beginning too of the stream, well, I kind of already showed it, but I showed that I have another camera set up where you can see the back of my audio or office and stuff. But so during this, I saw in the chat someone had asked me about NATE. Yes, I am NATE certified. There's a whole bunch of, we can get into the politics of NATE, but personally, I agree that any certification is better than no certification. So, you know, I do agree that NATE is kind of a racket and that they charge you a bunch of money to maintain your certification. And it's this thing that you have to you have to pay money every year. It's kind of silly, but I agree that any certification, whether it be an ESCO certification, a NATE certification, an RSES certification, is better than none, because most of those, all of those certifications require that you maintain things, right? That you constantly re-educate yourself and better yourself, and that you don't just give up. So NATE is very important when it comes to, you know, or any kind of a certification is really important, because it basically continues to make you better yourself. Okay, so that's very, very important. Another thing was, what kind of study information do I use for NATE? So RSES has a series of books, okay, rses.org, and they have these NATE study guides. So this is preparing for the NATE exam, okay? So they have a core book, so core essentials, and then they have a different types. So if you want to go into different things. So I happen to go into, I have a heat pump certification, which also gives you air conditioning certification, and then I have light commercial refrigeration. So I do air conditioning and heat pumps, and then I do commercial refrigeration, and then I also have a couple more that I haven't gotten yet, but I will. I should, because I got nothing else better to do. Gas and oil heating and air distribution. You can get them from rses.org. Great organization, RSES. I'm part of it. I'm not active in my RSES chapter like I should be, but I definitely want to get more active. But I will say something. Out of all the certifications that you can get in this industry, if you happen to hold the CM certification from RSES, in my opinion, I hold the utmost respect for you if you happen to have a CM certification, because I have failed the RSES CM exam 2 times now. Now, in all fairness, and I'm not bragging, but I've taken all the NATE tests without studying anything. Just using industry experience, I've passed the heat pump certification, the air conditioning, the core, and the light commercial refrigeration without studying at all. And I tried to do that with the RSES CM exam, and no way. I failed it 2 times now without studying. So the RSES exam, you have to know your shit, and they don't baby you like NATE does. NATE like tests you on the core, and then they test you on one subject. RSES tests you for the CM on everything. So it's insane with the RSES stuff. Could I do a video using OBS Studios? Ren, send me an email. I actually have an unlisted video that I've shared about how I edit and different things like that, and I can send that to you. So hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and I'll send that to you. And I think it shows the OBS stuff that I do, I think. So I won't make it public on my channel, but I have like an unlisted video because it's not really worthy of making it a public video on my channel. Check out the line sizing calculator on the Tecumseh website. Yeah, definitely. As far as line sizing information, Sean Mack, great resource. Also, when it comes to sizing refrigeration lines, highly suggest you lean on the Copeland manual. If you look on the Copeland manual, Copeland refrigeration manual, these are from back when I was in trade school, and there's lots of valuable information. Look at that. I have it bookmarked because I was in a class on load calculations and line sizing and fitting length and figuring out suction line risers and liquid line sizes. So the Copeland manual is a great resource. I think you can download this. I used to have Amazon links, but it's been hard to find those lately. Great information. All right, throw some more questions in the chat, guys, and let's get to them. Okay, touching face. Oh, yeah, touching my face all day long. I know. All right, let's see what else. What did I miss? Check out the lines. I get that one. Could I use OBS? I did that one. Is there any way to try to unlock a 1/3 horsepower compressor if a 3-wire hard start didn't do the trick? Not really, Scott. If a 3-wire hard start won't do the trick, it's pretty much done. There's not a whole lot. You can kick it with your foot a bunch of times, but most likely the valves are internally damaged inside the compressor, and it's not going to do anything. Let's see what else. When do I recommend changing capacitors on air conditioners? Well, when they're under 10% of rated value, essentially, right? I think they're 10% usually is what it says on the caps, and that's what I would recommend you guys doing. I know that there's some information that Jim Bergman has released, basically looking at the power factor and inputting the power factor in, and he can tell you when capacitors are starting to fail. Honestly, I haven't used that, but it's very interesting that you could basically use the, hang on, I have a meter right here. Supposedly, if you use the Redfish IDVM, I have one right here, IDVM 550. I have this because I'm supposed to send it to a friend of mine. You can input some numbers using this, and you could calculate the power factor, and you could tell supposedly that capacitors are failing and different things like that. So definitely look up Redfish, Measure Quick. Ren, thank you very much for that super chat, dude. That's not needed, but I very much appreciate it, dude. That's awesome. Let's see. Let's drink a beer. Get over our anxiety, Joe Mama. So great point. I want to talk about something right now. I'm going to go off on a tangent again. So I have been very open with my depression, anxiety. I've gone to the doctor. I've been diagnosed bipolar, manic depressant. I don't care. Whatever. I mean, guys, the biggest thing was many years ago, I went to the doctor because there was a time when I used to get very, very angry. Probably 10 years ago, I got angry one time and I punched a wall. And my wife came home and nobody was home at the time. I punched a hole in the wall because I was angry, and I felt very ashamed after. And my wife came home, la-di-da, all this different stuff. And I realized that I had some problems. I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed all kinds of things. I had depression, I was bipolar, blah, 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 right? I had it all. I went on medicine, and that was the best thing I could ever do was I seeked help, right? And I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not qualified to give medical advice. But in the midst of all this craziness going on, I just want everybody out there to know that we are all going through things. We all have mental disorders. We all have anxiety. We all have depression. The biggest thing that I could do with my depression, with whatever my anxiety, is talk to someone. Whether it be a friend, whether it be a doctor, whether you go seek medication, whatever it is, talk to someone. I worry about this. I was just talking to my wife. With everything that's going on, I've been doing good because I've been communicating. I've learned. I've figured out the tools. I don't take medicine anymore, but I'm not against it. Okay, but I've learned that the key to my success and my stability within myself is to communicate with people, to not bottle things up and get angry about it anymore. Or I shouldn't say get angry, because getting angry is normal. But in the midst of all this, everybody goes through depression. Everybody goes through anxiety. Everybody goes through anger. So communicate with people. Just talk to someone, okay? Guys, I shared this on my last live stream. I'll share it again. Sometimes it just takes a single person to talk to. Guys, if you need me to be that person, I can't promise I'm always going to be there. But sometimes it just takes that. Talk to someone you know. But if you need to send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com. Okay, I'm going to type that in the chat right now. Because sometimes it just takes a simple person just to answer your question or answer your email and listen to you. Hell, I'm even going to share my number, 909-238-9094. There's my number. Text me, leave me a voicemail, okay? That's not my personal cell. That's a Google Voice number, okay? But if you leave me a voicemail, I'll listen to it and I'll get back with you, okay? Guys, everybody's going through something, and sometimes it just takes, someone on the other end just to listen to whatever problems you have. Send me a voicemail, whatever, okay? Reach out to a friend, reach out to someone else. Just know that we're all going through crap right now, okay? And you're not alone. I worry about all the people getting angry and depressed and all this stuff that's going on with all this crap, okay? Feel free. Reach out, okay? Really appreciate it. All right. Let's see if there's any more questions in the chat. Let me see. Get you in the AM invalid format token. Not for, yeah, I see that. Haha. Sledgehammer. Yeah. Just don't punch holes in your wall. Because when I said it on my HVAC life, I did a series with my wife where I talked about my mental struggles and all that stuff, right? And where I messed up was I punched a wall, right? And, sure, I got my aggression out by punching a wall, but I realized that my hand went right next to the stud. And then I thought, after I punched a hole through the wall, what happens if I hit the stud? What happens if I broke my knuckles? Would I, how long would I be out of work? And that's what sent me to the doctor, was because I didn't want to get to that point where I was a risk to my family. I never had bad thoughts about hurting anybody in my family. I never abused anybody, but still, I didn't want to get to that point. So I sought help before I got to that. But, getting your aggression out, yeah, sure, on a punching bag or whatever, sure, go for it. If you have something you can hit with a sledgehammer, go for it. Sometimes you just need to get it out. But the biggest advice that I have for everybody is just talk it through, communicate, vocalize your problems. Don't bottle them up, because that's what I did for years, was bottle them up. So let's see what else. Would I recommend a 15-ton RTU swap to a new 15-ton RTU, or a different recommendation? Rooftop unit. It's 4-wire Delta with a 222 Stinger leg. New unit was purchased mistakenly with 460. Ooh, that's a shitty situation. You may want to talk to an electrician to see if they can just put a step-down transformer. I'm sorry, not a step-down. Yeah, you're kind of shit out of luck on that one. I mean, they have transformers that can step it up, but that sounds like a shit storm. Yeah, that does not sound any good. Are any of my techs on the same levels as my knowledge-wise? My techs are good techs, Brian. I don't really want to go into details on that one, but my techs are good guys. Best way to check a leak by if it's a compressor or a solenoid. Best way, pump down the suction service valve on the compressor. That's the way to isolate the compressor from the situation. Close the suction service valve if you have one. If not, install a suction service valve. Or if you decide it's the compressor, change the liquid line solenoid valve at the same time. So let's see what else. Appreciate everybody coming in. Let's see if I'm missing anything else in here. What does everyone do for retirement when the company does not offer any kind of retirement? If your company doesn't offer any kind of a retirement, you need to talk to a financial advisor. There's plenty of other things you can do. You can invest in a IRA. But yeah, talk to a financial advisor. There's plenty of stuff you can do. VFD can do it. Yeah, VFDs can do it, but I don't know if they can handle the current draw of the system. So you feel like this is a drunken relationship tonight? Nah, I'm not drunk, Sean. I'm not drunk at all. All right, let's see what else you feel like. All right. Well, guys, I think that I am going to wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys coming in here. Want to thank you guys very much. Remember, I've been trying to close out with this. If you guys can take anything from my videos, anything from my live streams, is so simple. Just step back and take a look at the big picture. That's all you need to do. If you're running into a problem and you can't seem to figure something out, just stop, step back, take a look at the big picture. If you're diagnosing the simplest of problems, just because it looks easy, stop and try to figure out why that problem is existing. Is there something that caused that problem to happen? Look at the big picture. The customer may not, approve a quote for a big picture diagnosis, but at least you were upfront and you gave them all the information and gave them the tools to make a proper decision on how they want to repair something. Okay. Big picture diagnosis is my mantra. I try to preach that to everyone that I can. I'm going to go ahead and transition the outro music. How has my business been since the last stream? It's been horrible. My guys are all sitting at home. I've done 2 service calls, so it's been very shitty, just like everybody else across the country. If I missed any of your questions, feel free to send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com. If you need someone to talk to, if you need to reach out, you got problems, you got issues, you're dealing with mental struggles, reach out to a family member. If you can't talk to a family member, send me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. Leave me a voicemail, 909-238-9094. I'm going to go ahead and transition to the outro music. I really appreciate you guys, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Is anybody still here? Did anybody actually make it to the very end of the music and they're actually still watching this stream? And I came back on, like as an encore. It'd be kind of funny if I went for like another 2 hours, which I'm not going to, but I'm just curious if anybody make it to the very end of this stream. Let's see if anybody in the chat says, hey, yeah, I made it. Ha 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 ha. Hey, hey, hey. It'd be kind of funny. I'm out of beer though, so I got sparkling water. I guess that's it. Let's see. Kind of like an encore, but I'm not Taylor Swift, so blah, 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 blah. Hey, there's still a few people. Right on. Sterling, how, dude, what time is it in France, dude, for Sterling to still be on here? That's just crazy, Sterling. What time is it in France, dude? Because you're in France, right? That's crazy. You guys made it all the way to the end. What is a bozzy? What is that a bozzy? I don't know what that is. What is a bozzy? Jokes on people that left. That's right. You had to go through all my outro music. I'll send the OBS stuff to whoever. A couple people sent me the emails about the OBS stuff. So ham and beans, Frank and beans, Frank and beans. What movie is that from? Where the mentally handicapped person is making fun of the guy because he zipped his nuts up in a zipper. And he's like, Frank and beans. What up, Sterling Archer, 334. That's crazy, dude. Although you're probably not working right now, right, Sterling? Because you guys are all sitting at home. What am I working on tomorrow? Absolutely not. Nothing. There's like no calls at all out here. So Frogman sounds like a bomb. No Adam, just craving attention. We've been laid off. Yeah, Sterling. It's the same here, bro. Everybody's just in limbo right now. The government's trying to help people out. Hey, Sterling, in France, is the government trying to give everybody like assistance and different things like that? That's an interesting thing because I know the French government does a bunch of different weird things as far as your work weeks and different things like that. So, yeah, it's very interesting. You're Chihuahua, right on. Promelito07. I have a few people that watch from Mexico. We're at home too. Yeah, everybody's at home, dude. I have people from all over the place. People from Mexico, France, Canada, Australia. Some people emailed from Saudi Arabia. Yeah, a lot of people. Same here, dude. I should get on Discord then. Nah, it's time for dinner right now. I've thought about the Discord thing, Ike, but it's just so much drama. With the whole Discord thing. I know you're wanting to help me out and stuff, Ike, but it's a lot of effort on my part, and I'm very lazy at heart, so. Oh, right on, Joe Mama. You're still in Southern California. See, I'm in Southern California, and I'm not working at all, but I do all restaurants, so. You see me. Hello. Something about Mary. That's right, Scott. It is something about Mary. Frank and beans. Franks and beans. Let's see. You don't care. Chris is international. I am international. That's right. Whether or not I'm useful in other countries, I don't know. I guess with the whole big picture mindset, maybe I'm useful in other countries, but I don't know about, it's probably hard in other countries though to follow because I'm talking about PSIG and Fahrenheit and different, and inches and, centimeters, and so I'm not on the metric system, so that's going to be a little bit difficult for the other countries. But let's see, how do I recommend preventing people from stealing the condenser coils from rooftops? There's a bad problem with people doing that here in downtown LA. A lot of people out here, we've caged them. I mean, I haven't, but I've had a few customers that like have a fence company come in and cage them and different things like that. In a perfect world, you just set them up and ground out the unit so someone gets electrocuted if they touch the unit. That'd be ideal, but then you get sued for that. So you have moderated a ton of stuff. The server is right. I know it is, Ike. So great encore. Hope that dinner's awesome. Yeah, I think we're having some kind of pasta or something like that. My wife's in the other room. So wrap a chain around it. Yeah, Joe. Joe, you need to send me your information so we can text back and forth. I can text with Adam and stuff, but I don't text with you. So send me your information, Joe. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up for real. Really appreciate it. We'll call this an encore. Oh, Hill Phoenix. Yeah, definitely. I know the supermarket guys are hiring for sure. So I'm not at that point yet, Joe Mama, but, you know, I know that I would be okay. I just worry about my guys. So that's what I'm worried about. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up for real. Really appreciate you guys. I'm going to hit end stream, and we will catch you guys on the next one. If I missed anything, send me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. And again, I'm here if anybody needs to talk, 909-238-9094, or send me an email, okay? I'm going to hit end stream. I got to click the intro picture over, transition that over, and